So, some portion we have already studied. Now, please listen. So, one important effect of earthworm is that earthworms are very important in agriculture. They are popularly known by the name friends of the farmer. So, because earthworm is playing a very significant role in improving the fertility of the soil, that is why we call it the name friends of the farmer. Now, there are two kinds of effects earthworms are producing on the soil. One is physical effect, and second one is the chemical effect. The chemical effect mostly because of production of some biochemicals, whereas physical effect is mainly due to the mode of living, because earthworm is a burrowing organism. So when he's burrowing in the soil, digging the soil, eating the soil, it is changing the nature of the soil. That process will be coming under the physical effects of the earthworm. So all earthworms are actually have a habit of excavation of burrows. They are digging burrows, making burrows in the soil, and producing cast. If you look at the soil in the early morning, you can see a lot of cast will be there, and these cast are actually remains of the earthworm. Here you can see the earthworm cast. This is how the earthworm cast will be appearing. This is actually the excretory remains of the earthworm. What earthworm will be doing is that it will be feeding on uh, the soil, and the soil will be containing some organic matter. That organic matter will be absorbed by the stomach and intestine of the earthworm, and whatever digestible matter, that is mainly soil, will be eliminated or excreted through his anus. So this is how earthworm is releasing this earthworm cast. Okay, and this earthworm cast will be rich in lot of nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, etc. So these are the main elements needed by the plants for their growth. So that is how earthworm is actually improving the fertility of the soil by production of the cast. So cast consists of mixed organic and inorganic material like excreted masses of soil mixed with residues of comminuted. Comminuted means broken into very smaller pieces, and digested plant residues or plant portion. So the casts that are deposited beneath the soil contributed to pedogenesis. Pedogenesis simply means formation of the soil, because earthworm will be doing this process for a long time. When thousands of earthworm is doing this process, that will be resulting in the formation of the soil. For example, if the soil is very hard, earthworm, because of its digging habit, if thousands of earthworms are there, after a period of several years, we can find that the earthworm soil in that region become more loose and more soft, and also ideal for the growth of plants. In a hard soil, plants may not be unable to grow because the roots of the plant may not be able to penetrate the soil. But when the earthworm is making the soil more loose and more soft, as well as more porous, porous means improving the number of air pockets. Earthworm casts develop as soil aggregates by forms of gums that result from microbial digestion and components or binding effect. For example, in the inside the earthworm there will be some fungus will be there. This fungus will be holding the soil also. Soil particles will be holding. So that is one way. Another importance of the earthworm is the shape and physical packing of the aggregate influence aeration, water holding capacity, surface area, infiltration of water. Here you can see that this is how the earthworm cast will be appearing. So if you look at that, this earthworm cast is actually a soil converted into a more loose soil. There will be more air pockets will be there, air spaces will be there, and soil will be more soft also. So because of that, air holding capacity of this cast will be more. Similarly, water holding capacity will be more. So this is how the earthworm is actually changing the physical nature of the soil. It is making the soil more porous. Porous means having more number of air hole. Pore means hole. So when there are a lot of air holes in the soil, that will be resulting in more oxygen and more air being held in the soil. More water can be trapped in the soil. So this is the advantage of earthworm burrowing or earthworm excavation, so that it will be easier for plants, the roots of the plants to grow into the soil and grow there. So there are many different forms of cars which are often a typical species that produce them. Cars support the growth as well as survival of. So another advantage is that this kind of cars will be helping in the growth of microorganism in the soil also. So directly what earthworm is eating and releasing the undigested matter as soil as earthworm cast. But that cast containing some bacteria, some fungus will be there, and cast will be more porous will be there, more soft will be there. These actions are actually resulting in the beneficial effect to plants. So this is how earthworm is improving the quality of the soil. And they also contain enzymes such as protease, amylase, lipase, cellulase, chitinase, which continue to disintegrate the organic matter even after they have been excreted. For example, since the earthworm is releasing the soil, passing the soil through its digestive system as well as alimentary canal, many digestive enzymes will be also released along with that. These enzymes contain protein splitting enzyme, starch splitting enzyme like amylase, fat splitting enzyme like lipase, then cellulose digesting enzyme, chitin digesting enzyme. So that will be producing some effect on whatever organic matter that may be present in the earthworm cast. So normally earthworm form burrows by literally eating their way through soil and pushing through the crevices. Here I will so earthworm feeding on soil. We will check. See how this earthworm will be feeding on the soil. How this action of earthworm will be here. This is how the earthworm is actually feeding. Now what I am trying to get is a picture of feeding of a soil. So this is how the earthworm will be feeding on the soil and will be improving the quality of the soil. There are a number of important species of earthworm, Lumbricus terrestrius, Poroctidia longa, Poroctidia nocturna, Lambitum mauriti. They made burrows with smooth walls, and which will be cemented together with the mucus secretion and finally release. So this is how the earthworm will be producing their effects. Um, we will also check effects of earthworm on the soil. See how what. See here you can see that how the earthworm will be resulting in. See this is how the earthworm will be burrowing into the soil. This is the nature of the earthworm. Then what earthworm can do to the soil? There is some picture of the. You will try to see. Try to find out if there is any such picture is there. I cannot find any such picture like that. So this is the basic nature of earthworm. Then coming to the chemical effect. Chemical earthworms will be altering. Altering means changing the chemical composition of soil and the distribution of plant nutrients by consuming large quantities of surface litter and organic material. Because what earthworm will be doing is that whatever material will be present on the surface of the soil will be taken by whatever was organic material which are present on the surface of the soil like this, earthworm will be feeding on them, and this material will be passing through the intestine of the earthworm, and during that process many the chemical nature of this substance can change. Earthworm in general are responsible for transport of this material to subsurface layers of the soil, during this process, and much of the organic material is ingested. See, what earthworm will be doing is that whatever organic material present on the surface of the soil, the earthworm will be feeding on. Here you can see that the earthworm will be feeding on this surface soil, and when earthworm then burrowing into the lower portion, so surface soil will be taken into the lower portion. Some amount of lower soil will be also changing to the upper portion. So that kind of process earthworm will be doing, and this will be increasing that will be, see here also you can see that. So this is how the earthworm will be feeding. They will be feeding a part of the upper soil and taking that soil to the lower layer. Sometimes they also take soil from the lower layer and bring it to the upper layer. So some kind of mixing or plowing of soil will be conducted by the earthworm. See here also you can see that. So this is how the earthworm is actually helping in the soil formation, improving the quality of the soil. All this actually is actually a contribution of earthworm living in the soil. Then earthworm in general are responsible for transport of material to the subsurface. Subsurface means above the upper surface of the soil, and during this process, organic material present in the soil will be ingested. Ingested means eaten, macerated means cut, and excreted means eliminated. Earthworm also contributes several nutrients in the form of nitrogenous waste. One important property of the earthworm waste is that, so when earthworm will be releasing this earthworm cast, this will be containing a lot of nitrogen, lot of ammonia, lot of phosphorus, and lot of potassium. So that will be, you might have studied about NPK value. So that is NPK are three important minerals needed by the plants for their fast growth. So this NPK elements or nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium are very useful for the plants for their growth, and earthworm cast will be containing a lot of these nitrogen, potassium and minerals. Ammonia, which forms a large portion of the nitrogenous matter excreted by earthworm, was a temporary rise in soil pH. Because when earthworm is releasing this an excretory matter, it will be containing ammonia. And ammonia is slightly acid, will be alkaline. That will be increasing the causing a increase of the soil pH, or it can make soil more alkaline. The pH of the earthworm cast the pH of the earthworm cast generally close to neutrality than the soil from which. So they are, for example, when earthworm is feeding on a soil, imagine the soil pH of the soil is 6 or the pH of the soil is 8. By this feeding mechanism and releasing of the cast, earthworm will be bringing down the soil pH to around 7. So that is another effect of the earthworm. It will be neutralizing the soil, and so that plants will be able to grow in that soil in a faster, in a easier way. So these are some of the important chemicals. So it will be changing the pH of the soil. It is bringing more nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium to the soil. So these are some of the important effects of earthworm on the soil. Here also that portion is again significant amount of nitrogen can pass through the earthworm that will be improving the amount of nitrogen present in the earthworm. So these are some of the, then same is the case with the phosphate. So nitrogen and phosphate as well as potassium are increased by the action of the earthworm feeding on the soil. So these are some of the important advantages of earthworm. So concentration of exchangeable calcium, magnesium usually significantly greater in cast that is another peculiarity. When earthworm is producing this earthworm cast, that will be containing more calcium, magnesium and potassium. That is also another advantage of earthworm feeding. So by this earthworm feeding mechanism, we can see that more good quality, more soil with a more high fertilizers in the soil will be present. So these are some of them. It will be contributing to the organic matter incorporation and decomposition. So there is earthworm have major role in breaking down the organic matter. and release and recycling of nutrient. That is another advantage. So earthworm will be feeding on the organic matter means plant roots or animal remains. They will be feeding on that, and they will be removing the nutrients, and will be finally excreting as earthworm cast. So these are some of the advantages of earthworm. Here also you can see that large portion of organic matter um, will be break down by earthworm, and that will be finally help becoming part of the soil. So earthworm is thereby promoting soil formation. So decomposition of the decomposition of dead plants and animals is one important role performed by the earthworm. So a lot of other roles are also there, but the most important thing is that it is neutralizing the soil pH, it is increasing the NPK value of the soil, then it is creating more calcium in the soil. So these are some of the important role done by the earthworm in the soil. So this is an overall idea regarding what are the chemical changes produced by earthworm on the soil, and similarly you have to also understand what are the physical effects of earthworm on the soil.